Afternoon, Nandini.
Very good afternoon, dear. Welcome, all dear lovely parents. So nice to have you all here.
Parents, shall we start the session? Do you have anything in your mind? Like, would you like to ask, post any questions?
Um, shall we start?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Nandini.
Thank you so much. So, welcome all lovely dear parents. I'm glad to have you all here. So, I'll give a quick introduction about me so that you can know what you can expect from me. So, I'm Dr. Nalini. I'm an early baby brain development coach. I work with parents with children 0 to 6 years in maximizing their cognitive, emotional, and intuition development. Over the last 5 years, I have helped over 10,000 mothers all over the world to help themselves or to parent better, to help their child in their cognitive learning capabilities and also their emotional intelligence and the social intelligence. So I'm so grateful that I'm able to connect with all of you today to clarify your questions and all the stuff. But before that, I want you all to be present now. First of all, I really want to be appreciating all of you for being here, for showing up here. So, first of all, I would love to congratulate you for taking this step in showing up for today's session because today is Sunday and all of us are very, very busy. I'm sure that the parents are the most busiest people in the world. In spite of your busyness, you chose to be here, and that shows how much you are committed as a parent. And for that, I really want to congratulate and appreciate you. And I really thank Little Millennium for giving this opportunity and taking this initiative to connect the experts with the parents so that we all can raise our children in a better way. So, yeah, so we will go one by one. I always love to begin any of my sessions. For that matter, with an intention, okay? Because when we are showing up, when we are doing something with our time, let us see what is the intention that you are joining here. So before that, I want to see what is your child's age. So put it in the chat box. What is your child's age, so that I know that what kind, what parent, what age group of parents we do have here in this. So I hope all people can message. Let me, yeah. Yes. So you girls can put out what is your child's age in the chat box. Welcome Bhavish, 3 years old. Sujit is 6 years old, 3.5 years. Okay. So put all the age. Okay. Most of you have children below 6 years. That's lovely. 2.946. Fantastic. Lovely. Lovely. Awesome. So, um, so let's all take a moment to set up our intention for today's call. The next 1 hour we are going to be spending with each other, right? So, why did you join the call? What is that biggest takeaway you want for yourself in this 1 hour meeting? There is something that might be there in your head. That's why you are here, right? So try to put that in the words in the chat. It could be as simple as listening to others. Whenever we are having this kind of group meetings, when one person show what is their problem, it is not just the problem that with that one parent. Every parent can also relate with it, because most of the times we think that we are facing a unique problem. It is not so. All of us are sailing in the same boat. That feeling seen, you will be starting to see here. Okay, for now I'll put all of you on mute. So put your intention for the call. in the chat. How to carry in early years. That's lovely, Surjit. That's amazing. I want all of you to be more interactive and also to make use of this time 200% because we have been spending this 1 hour. We could have done anything else also, but when we are here, let's play it 100%. How to control kids' tantrums. That's nice. So it means that you are going through a lot of tantrums at home and you need to have the tools so you can navigate it better. Lovely. So I would love to know other people's comments as well so that it will be easy for me to take up your questions and give you the tools that you can carry out when we are going out of this session. How to make more kids more social with everyone. Lovely. Awesome. So as we are proceeding, I want you girls to put the Q&As right here in the meeting chat itself. So I'll take one by one questions, okay? And one thing I want to tell all the parents here is that a belief that I have about parenting is not just about raising a child. It's not just about giving birth to a child, but it is being responsible and being involved in those formative years, how I raise myself so I can raise my child also. So we all are in the space where our children is just a reflection of us. Many times we would have seen it already with our children. When we are very happy, we see that our children are also very lethargic and happy and all. If we are down, our energy is low, if we are so stressed out of some other things, we see that it also affects our children. So as a mother, as a father, how do I actually raise myself? How do I grow with my child? That will open up so much for you so that you are not just putting out the blame onto your child, but also see what is that I can do to make this better. So when your child, I'm very sure that all of you will be having issues with respect to the child's tantrums, meltdowns, and also so these two things, right, they are the developmentally appropriate things. Okay, as the child grows up, especially after 2 years, the child will be having a lot of emotions that they start to experience. Till 0 to 2 year, from 0 to 2 years, the child might be having a different types of development that is happening. After 2 years, what happens is that the child's brain development supports their emotional development. They start to feel more different emotions and they really do not know how to cope up with it. The only way how they know to um, express that is through crying. That's why you see your child is always crying, and the way how they whine always keep, because they don't have the words or they don't have the coping strategies in place. So today I'll be sharing with you some of the tools, and also at the end of this session I would love to give you a gift from my side where you will be walking away with a PDF where there is a very beautiful guide for you to manage your child's tantrums and emotions and how you can talk to your child and all of that. But that is only for the people who are going to stay till the end of the class. So I will give you a Google form, and for all the people who are filling that form, I can send you that guide to your email inbox and in your WhatsApp as well. Okay, but as we are starting this session, let us not see our children as an opposite team. Okay, when we are seeing our children as an opposite team and when we are seeing ourselves as another team, what happens is we start to think about how do I fix that in my child? How do I make my child stop crying? How do I make my child do this? Right now, let's not see it as opposites of each other. Now, let's all tune in into same team. If I have a team member who is struggling with something, I don't see from that perspective of how do I fix. Instead, I will see how I can help, how I can cooperate, contribute, or collaborate with my child so that they can perform better. So that they can. So, the one question is how to stop watching TV, right? So now from our mindset, what is that I can do to help my child reverse their TV screen time and all that? So shall we do that kind of a mindset when we start this webinar? So if you are okay with that, type yes in the chat, and that is only the way how it is going to work. If we are just thinking that I'm going to stop my child from crying, I'm going to stop my child, I'm going to take away the screen from the child, I'm going to trying to fix them, their anger, their biting issues, their hitting issues, and all of that, it is not going to help, and you are going to very much feel exhausted. And that is when the discipline approach, the negative discipline approach, starts to build up. Like, beating, yelling, all of these things may seems like working at that moment, but it is not going to work in the long run. At the same time, when a child is listening to us based on when you shout, when you are yelling at them, etc., it is because they are afraid of you or they are disconnected from you. Now let's understand how I can positively discipline my child with proper boundaries, by giving them the tools and by myself having those tools, right? Lovely. Sujit, Ufta, Kritika. Okay, so if you are ready for it, type yes in the chat. So, one thing I strongly believe is that we cannot control the external circumstances. Even though it is our child, doesn't mean that we can always fix it or control everything that they do. What we can control is what I can do, right? What I can do is I can control my energy, I can control, I can see where I can act, where I can stop overacting, how can I respond. So when I put myself, when instead of putting the blames onto the other circumstances and the child or the situations, when you take the responsibility, you will be able to see what should I do to solve this problem, right? So problem solving starts when you are trying to take up the responsibility. Now, great, amazing. So let's go to the Q&A. So I'm starting from the beginning, but as you get, quickly put it in the chat and we will discuss. Okay. Okay, now let's. First question is how to make kids more social with everyone. So here I want to see. So when I'm answering one question, it may be something that is relevant to all of you as well, because most of us, everywhere, every problem, all of us have, including me. Okay, yeah. So the first question is socialization. So first thing, we have to work on our mindset. So there are three layers that we always have to look into. First one is your mindset, second one is your nervous system, how your body reacts to situations, and the third one is your subconscious programming. What are the early years belief system that you have been growing up, which is impacting you in your response. Okay, now when it comes to socialization, first thing we have to accept is that not all of us are extroverts. How many of you in this room are introverts yourself? You don't show up, you don't talk to strangers easily, you don't immediately go and mingle with people, right? There are few people, for example, my sister, I have my elder sister, she's a very good extrovert. She loves to talk to new people, she gets mingled with them so easily, she makes friends so easily. On the other hand, when it comes to me, I'm very observant person. I don't call myself a shy person, even though that was the label that I was carrying from my surroundings all these years. But I'm a very observant person. I don't talk where everywhere. I talk only in the places where I can relate to. Similarly, all of us human beings have our own intuition that is there inside of us that tells us where to open up, where not to open up, right? So every one of our human nature is something. We want to be very jovial and social and all. At the same time, some of them very observant. We observe the environment before we even start talking. So when our children are very, very small, when our kids are very small, they are very, very, very observant. In it means that if a group of people are there, it may be feeling like they are not participating in the conversations. However, they are observing everything. Now, the first time itself, when we expect them to be very socialized and talking with everybody, it may not work. They may need a space which they feel more safe and comfortable. So you might have noticed this on first day of school, the child never speaks to anybody in the classroom, some children, right? But after a week or after a month, they start to talk, they start to play with other kids, and they get eventually accustomed to it because that environment feels safe for them. Now, how you as a parent can support socialization skill is number one, to constantly expose children with wherever places that they like. people that they like. Say, for example, you are sending your children to school, right? So on the weekend, maybe if you parents are nearby, and if you have the children are all can mingle with each other, you can plan some play date or something, so that the children who are meeting outside the school environment, they have a different environment now, and they be able to be very freely, they can talk and converse with the children among them, and when they go back to school, they forms a relationship outside the school also, the friendship also starts. So that way, that is one way of improving the social skills among the people that they know, right? And we are all living in nuclear family setups, most of us. We are living in nuclear family setups, we may not have many people around us to talk with each other, right? So this play dates will help you to see to have their own space, even though they are going to schools and all that, but still when they meet outside, they'll be free, right? So even all these mothers, I'm sure that you may be having your own friends whom you are still connecting with. They may be from different places in the city, you might be meeting them here and there. Now they might have children as well, you can get along. When you are going along, you can have those children talking to those kids and have form friendships, so that will also help you a lot, right? So, and also one important thing from the parent side is, don't push or don't force your child to immediately talk. That will be very much resisting for them. So just give them space and tell them that you can, it's okay if you don't want to talk now, it's okay, take your time, observe, and when you feel ready, you can talk. When you are yourself, when you yourself are giving that space and telling them that, that puts them into relaxed feeling. When the children are relaxed, they perform better. So what happens when we are meeting in a marriage function, immediately there are so many strangers, elders and all. If for you, you know them all well, even if you want to speak to them or if you don't want to speak to them, we just have to speak, because we are in that mind, oh, what this person will think of me, what that person will think of me, I will talk to them properly only. Likewise, we have this thing, we are people pleasers. But our children are not people pleasers yet. They are very, very natural. They will be talking only if they want to talk. No matter how many times you ask, tell your name, tell your name, tell your name, they are not going to tell their name if they don't want to tell. So give them that space and see how these children are behaving as it goes, right? So that way, giving them space will remove that stress from that space, so that they become relaxed and they can start talking, right? How I will control my anger with my kids. Okay, this is a fantastic question. How do I control my anger with my kids? Now, this has a lot of layers in it. There are two things. One is, you are reacting to the child, right? You are reacting to the child. First step is, you are reacting when a child is having a something and you immediately react at them. That can be something that is related to the child's behavior, can also be something that is directly not related to the behavior, but your own stress that is being built up. So when you yourself is having too much to handle in yourself, you automatically start to show it to your child, who is the most vulnerable person in the family. How many of you can relate to this? Your husband or your mother-in-law or someone in the family scolded you or said something to you which you're holding in your mind. Your child is running and coming to your place and asking for something. You were already holding so much that you couldn't express it to those people, and now your child comes and asks you something, and you immediately snapped at them, you shouted at them, and then you felt guilty for shouting at them, even though they did not do anything at all, right? So this is because of your own emotional cup being empty. Now, we are women, especially mothers, we are givers, givers, givers. We keep giving, giving, giving. Even if you're a working mother or a stay at home mother, we are already giving, giving, giving. So, what happens in your emotional cup is getting low, 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 and suddenly it becomes empty. And when it becomes empty, what you are acting from. You are acting from an empty cup. So you are prone to a lot of shouting, yelling, or reacting to your child, because those are the vulnerable people in the family. And vulnerable people in the family, they do not talk back to you, they do not fight back at you. So we tend to do that. That was one thing. The second thing, when it is related to the child's behavior, the first one is not relating to the child's behavior, you're showing the anger from someone else to this person, right? So if the second thing is when it is related to the child's behavior. Say, for example, when my daughter was 1 year old, she likes to carry weight items. Okay. She likes to carry the big mug, which is not easy for her to carry. Whenever she takes something with a liquid, like even if it is a glass of water, even if it is a simple glass of water, immediately I will feel very much anxious. I will feel, what if she drops the glass? What if the water just spills out? Like I will be very conscious and anxious, and I be saying that, hey Shradu, don't put it down, hey Shradu, don't spill the water. Likewise. So once after she spills the water, the moment you become stressed and anxious about something, that immediately reaches the child, right? So they will drop it, they will spill the water. And what happens when something like that happened is immediately, oh my god, this is why I told you not to take the water can. Better you don't take it at all. So this was 2 3 times I was doing it, and then I was just reflecting back on it. I was thinking, like, why do I react in this way? And then I was able to relate it to my own early years experience, that whenever I'm a very I have a very loose hand, I would say. Even nowadays, even if I'm taking a bottle like this, my grip is very, very slow. I'll most of the times I'll drop things. Okay. And whenever I do that as a child myself, my mom used to scold me the same thing. Oh, you have given me two jobs now, right? People used to say in Tamil homes, we say that ஒரு வேலைக்கு ரெண்டு வேலை வச்சுட்ட. You are giving me two jobs now. Likewise, every time hearing that creates that anxiety in me, that when my child is holding something, that anxiety is passing on, that trigger from that early experiences. One second, I'm just getting a call. Hello. Sorry, girls. So that anxiety passes on, and this trigger from that early experience makes me react in the way I react. Now, when I was able to relate to that, reflect to it, I was able to figure out where this reaction is coming from. Now that it was clear that this reaction is coming from that early years experience, I chose to be mindful next time on what I can do. Because, see, being anxious and me telling that don't drop it, or after the child drops it, why did you drop it? If I is this going to help in any way? Definitely not. The water is spilled, that's it. You cannot do anything by asking why did you do that, right? Instead, I started to think about problem solving. What happens when my child drops something? What I'm doing, I'll go and clean. Let's focus on that. So when I started to be mindful of that, I started to do that. And it was very difficult for me to stop the inner voices that is coming from the triggers and not putting any word out. I chose to put it inside, and then I'll just go and clean. You know what happened after I started do that? 2 3 attempts later, when my daughter did the same thing in the balcony, she herself went and took the mat and go went and put it there. So that is what we are teaching our children. When we are just shouting at them, we are creating them the anxiety. We are also passing on that same pattern to them. But when we choose to be a different response, when we start to do that, we are teaching them the problem solving things. So when we are talking about raising our children future ready, one of the things is critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, all of these stuff. And all of these things can start at home, as simple as this. So when you are feeling so angry with your child, see whether it is directly related to the child's behavior at that point, or it is something that you have from someone else whom you are not able to release and you're releasing it on your child. The second thing, if it is related to your child's behavior or any trigger that is making you react immediately, go back, think, have a paper, and just go back to your own early experiences where you have felt the same, where this is trigger coming from. Okay, that is going to, because awareness is the first step. Now in this call, if you have got some awareness about this, this will help you to think in your nervous system. So reaction is your nervous system issue. Your nervous system will be into three modes when you are very stressful or angry or having a too much of emotions that is going on. You will have three things. Either you will fight, okay, you will be fighting against it. You, the second one is like you will be flying away from it. You don't want to mess with it, so you just want to escape from that. The third one is you freeze, right? You do not know what to do, you'll just freeze. You know it right now, you know it, which zone am I in? Am I in the fight mode? Am I fighting with my people around me, or I'm want to just escape that situation, or am I completely frozen, don't know what to do? So these are the three things that your nervous system would be when you are stressful, angry, or going through some emotional pains, or those stuff. Okay, understanding that will help you to move to the next step. Susvik mom say he's struggling to speak. He's speaking here and there, single words, not a sentence. Is it possible? Can you put your child's age also, dear, so that I can give you very specifically? However, if the how the child's speech development happens is that your child will be able to speak 50 words by the time they become 18 months. Okay, 50 words, that is the normal one. 50 words, 3 years. Okay, so your child should be able to speak at least 50 words by the time they become 18 months. Now, what happens during the early years from 0 to 2 years? That is when your child's brain development is so rapid, and they are like a sponge. Whatever you are going to pour in, they are going to completely suck it. Okay, they are like a sponge. Now, this period of development is like an empty canvas. You imagine there is a white empty canvas that is there, where you can go and paint whatever you want, right? So right now your child, if your child is between 0 to 6 years, you have such a plain canvas laying in front of you, where you have the opportunity and control to paint whatever you want. Now let's be more mindful on what we are painting. What happens between 0 to 2 years has a lot to do with how they develop and what you see after 3 years. The brain, when it is developing so rapidly, during those times the brain also needs a lot of stimulation, the right type of stimulation that is very much required, which is going to help them in their brain development. I'll try to show you a simple video so you never forget what is happening in your baby's brain. Okay, I'll quickly show this, so all these parents here, you will be able to um, see it. Okay, just a moment. Yeah, here, this is a video of from Harvard University, and I'm sure that this will give you a different perspective of how you see your child. Okay, so I'll show you usually in my webinars, I usually show this. Let me show this to you all. So this is your baby, okay? In your child's brain, this is what happening inside. All these areas are the neurons, or the neurons is the brain cells, okay? Every time the child is having a right kind of stimulation, there is an electric current passes into them, and it forms a connection between the two brain cells. Two brain cells gets connected, and that we call as a neural network connection. Whichever stimulation that is repeated to them, those neural network connections become stronger and stronger and stronger. Wherever there is no repetition of stimulation, those connections become weaker and they even disconnect. And our brain functions in such a way that each area of the brain is responsible for each function with respect to the child's memory power, with respect to the child's behavior, speech, their vocabulary, and their visual sense, and their emotional regulation skills, their motor skills, including writing, walking, and everything, and their behavior, language, everything is these functions are responsible in each part of the brain. So when the neural network connection starts to build up, it doesn't just build up between those two neurons, but it actually creates a network. Just like how you have a serial bulbs of network, a lot of serial bulbs will be connected through a wire network, right? Similarly, our brain functions are getting connected based on these stimulation and based on the neural networks that is being built. This forms like a house foundation that you are putting. Whether you are going to put 100 floors, or whether you are going to build a 50 floors, it all depends on what is the foundation. So when you see at 3 years, if your child is not able to speak properly, it is one thing because of lack of the brain stimulation during the early years. The second thing could be excessive screen time that might have been there. So if your child have or had more screen time, that also affects the child's brain development, because the neural network connection which I'm showing, right, that is not forming. So the natural brain stimulation itself being hindered when parents show a lot of screen time to our children. What happens is that people start, usually they start when the child turns 6 months, they start to give them screens because they want their child to eat. But what is happening inside of the baby brain is something that you cannot even anticipate. Only after 3 years you start to see, my child is not speaking. That is the first step that parents get to see. So now what you can do is that we do something called as whole brain acceleration. We use certain tools which is very fun and kind of a great bonding time as well, and that with that we will be able to give them the required brain stimulation, so that your child's functions, emotional and their learning, memory, their speech, all of these things gets improved. Okay, so but apart from that, I can tell you, start introducing books to your child, because every day we are talking to the child the same repeated words, so the child needs to have a lot of exposure to vocabulary. So introduce books to your child, talk to them, make eye contact and talk to them. Don't finish the sentences for them. If they want water, just give them gently, tell them how to ask for it. I want water. If your child says water, it means they are talking in single word, right? So you can tell them, say I want water. So that way you're forming a sentence, right? So that these are some of the speech stimulation you can do. And whether your child is not able to speak or doesn't able to hold a pencil to write, all of these problems, if you see, give them a lot of sensory activities. What is a sensory activity? Basically, our children learn through all of the senses. Okay, even if this bottle is there, they see it, they are using the visual sense, they're touching it, they are using the tactile sense, they're banging it to hear what sound it makes, they smell it, and then put it in the mouth to see what taste that it have. So our children learns through all of these senses, and that's why you see all our children put everything in mouth, especially during those early years, right? So when we are giving them specific sensory activities, what happens is that their brain is getting stimulated, right? All the areas of the brain get stimulated. It's so easy to set up. You don't even have to buy any toys or something to make this available. Just have a big tray. Okay, the trays that we use for washing our vessels and put it na. Likewise, you can have some big tray, and you can put either, you can put some rice which you have. You can use this rice specifically for this also. You don't even have to use it, feel like it is wasted. You can use that one. You can just fill that tray with that rice and put some toys or some small animal figurines or bird figurines in it, and you can ask the child to take one by one that object and name it. So that way it is also playful, it is also fun, and also the child is getting some sensory experience. The other day you can put some curd in it, curd, and let them eat also. That is also fine. And when you're doing these things, try to do it in the balcony or in the outside places, so that you don't worry about the messes. Even if the child makes any mess, take that as another learning opportunity. Both of you together clean it up. right? So the more sensory activities you give, that also helps your child in the speech stimulation, not just for the speech stimulation, but also for many things. Okay. How to make the kid calm and a good human being. Lovely, Divya. So all of us want to really raise our children in with good values. In fact, those are the things which we have to definitely take into consideration, because right now with technological advancements and everything, only the parents have to be very responsible in raising our children more with more values, right? So so one of the things that we do as part of our whole brain acceleration, I will tell you, every time we began the sessions, even this is being done from children who are even 1 month old, 2 month old. The parent only does. So even if your child doesn't sit for an activity, you do it yourself, so that your child is coming. Okay, they watch you and they are just the mirror of you. Okay, every day have some 5 to 10 minutes of special time with your child. So what you can do is you can call your child, whether they are 2 years old or a 6 year old, whatever it is. Tell them that every day, same time, you can say that every day we are going to have a special time. Don't take your phones in there. Just spend some special time with them. No distractions, only you and me. And during the time, start with a very simple breathing or blowing activity. Okay, so how do we do the breathing activities and blowing so anyone is also fine. Okay, how do we do is, we'll say like, okay, now imagine there is a big cake in front of us, and there are many candles that we are putting in. Now come, let's both of us together, let's light it up. Then light it up, we act it out. Let our children also get involved, asking them like, what is the color of the cake, do you think? What color candle are you lighting now? Let's both of us try to blow out these candles, and then oof, like that, you literally blow, and your child also blows. So what is happening at this in this small activity is that, first thing, imagination, visual skills is happening. Even though there is nothing in front of you, you are using your brain to create that in your mind. The second one is, you are involving your child to express their likes, like, colors and what object do you want, etc. The third one, most important, is the blowing activity. So whenever the child is blowing, then what happens is that their oxygen gets that the lungs gets bigger, and more oxygen goes and fills that space, which means their brain also gets expanded. So what happens, the child's calmness starts to build on, right? And whatever you do right after this activity, that is going to be going and imprinted in their subconscious mind. So you can you can say affirmations to the child. So when you are doing the affirmations, you choose the words very carefully, that you don't want to put the words which is in a negative. Hmm. Sure. Okay. So when you are saying the affirmations, you do affirmations in the way how you want your child to act, or how you want your child to be. Say, for example, if your child is always jumping and shouting and etc., you don't create affirmations like, don't shout, don't shout. Instead, you have to frame your affirmation. Say, I speak soft, right? So the words that you install matters a lot. And our children, 0 to 6 years, they are in their subconscious state of mind. Everything that we say is becoming imprinted in their subconscious mind, which is actually impacting their behavior, the way how they are developing, and the kind and good human being. All of these things is all, these early years contribute so much in that. So use affirmations to for the value systems that you want to install in your child, just like how we install software programs in our computer, right? Similarly, our brain is like the amazing multifunctional computer, right? So you install the thoughts, the belief systems at this age little extra mindfully. Okay, so when you are staying till the end of this webinar, I will be sending you a PDF. In that, I will also attach the affirmations that you can do with your child. How do I support my child confidence and emotional well-being? That's beautiful question, Lavanya. So again, for the confidence, affirmations works a lot. If your child is above 4 years, give them some small activities also, which is actually making them feel that they are feeling confident. It all starts with very simply being intentional. That's it. So if my child is doing a drawing, okay, instead of just saying, it's good, instead of just saying that, can we just be more expressive about the efforts that they have put in? So when I say it's good, it's that's it, it's just finished. But if I say, wow, I can see that you have used different colors in it, I can see that you have made at least 30 minutes you were sitting and you were drawing this, and I can see you are very creative in creating this particular art piece. So when we are giving the words to the efforts that they have taken, that itself produces more confidence in them, so they like to do those activities more, right? And also, when it comes to emotional well being, right after your child becomes 2 years, the child starts to go through a lot of emotions inside of them. And they start to experience different emotions in their nervous system, and they do not know how to cope up with those emotions, right? So that is when we have to teach them coping strategies. Now, the coping strategies and that I'm talking about is something that we, most of us, also lack because we were not taught emotional intelligence. Many of us may be feeling this whenever we are feeling angry, we do not know how to release it, and we just yell or shout or hurt someone, right? So, how do we help our children not do it and safely release it? Because we have been always told to suppress our emotions whenever we are feeling angry or whenever we are feeling like crying, right? People used to say, don't cry, don't be angry. But nobody says how to release that emotion in a safe way. The more we hear that don't cry, don't be angry, don't cry, don't be angry, the more we are suffocating us within us. So it will get blasted in somewhere or the other, right? So, how do we support our child, and also how do we ourselves learn at this age is through coping strategies. I'll tell you two, three coping strategies. I will also send you in the PDF many things which you can try to implement, because not all of us are same. What works for you may not work for me. So I'll give you like 100 coping strategies which you can see which one will be useful for you and your child. Okay, so what is that two examples? Okay, whenever you start to feel so, and also one more thing, when you are teaching your child coping strategy, it cannot be done when your child's emotion is heightened. When your child is angry and shouting and jumping, that is not the time for you to tell them take deep breaths. That will not work. Okay, it's like I am shouting in anger and you are telling me to calm down, calm down. I mean, like, what does it mean by calming down, right? You cannot teach them when their emotion is heightened. But when you can teach them is during the normal playtime, during your special time, during your normal playtime, you can simply introduce them to some coping strategies whenever so you can also use this, you can use stories so that it feels very close to them. You can tell if your child likes a particular character. For example, my daughter loves Krishna. So even as a 1 year old, whenever I'm telling a story where I want to teach something like this, or I want to fix her behavior or such, I'll use Krishna as a main character and I'll tell the story around it. So that really goes and touches her very easily. Instead of you saying that, so if I tell don't do like this, do like this, then it will not, our mind will not accept. But when we say it as a story, it is very easy for the child to relate to it and they remember it better. Similarly, you can also say for yourself. So I'll be saying something like this. I saw whenever I see my child is very much angry and shouting and speaking very rude. So I'll tell something like this in the normal time. So when Amma was very, very angry yesterday, when Amma was having a lot of work to do, and it was very, very stressful for me to even think of, handling all of these things. And I was like, I was just shouting, I was just using rude words. And then I felt, oh my God, why am I using these rude words? Let me try to say something differently. Then I started to think about, okay, if I'm not able to express it, let me draw it. And then I draw my emotions. Whenever I felt so angry, I just went to took a paper and I took a pen and I just draw it. I just draw and colored it. And then even I just put all my angry in the paper. Then I felt so calm. This way, when I narrated to my child, what happens is that I'm not telling her to take a paper and draw something when she is angry. I'm not directly giving her an instruction. I'm just giving an experience, like how I have done it for myself, even though it is not something that I've done it. I'll just put it like that. And I'll say, when I did that, I was able to feel calm. Now, when we give them this strategy, when they feel angry, this is the only solution that they can think of. No, from 2.5 years, from 3 years, your child's logical brain is also rapidly developing. So now the logical brain tries to see, what do I have to do? When they do not know what needs to be done, that is when the tantrum continues to happen. So if you had given something like this through a story or a personal experience, and they will be able to remember this better. Likewise, you can give them multiple examples of how to cope up with sadness, anger, frustration, or disappointment. Everything. For disappointment, you all of us will definitely have this disappointment as an emotion that comes in. Like, your child wants to have a toy, but they don't get the toy. They get disappointed and they get highly the tantrum mode on, right? But we have to understand that the child is feeling disappointed, giving them the words for the feeling that they are feeling. Don't just say you are always crying. It is not going to help at all. Saying that you're always crying, that is going to be imprinted instead and make them believe that I'm always crying, right? Instead, you can tell them, I can see that you are feeling disappointed. Now you have given them the name. Now they, when you are in the normal times, when you are saying that whenever you are feeling disappointed, try this, try that, etc., they will be able to do it better. And it is all consistently doing it with your child. It's about you growing up along with your child. I hope that helps, right? Stop watching TV. It's all about the boundaries that you have at home. If you at home continuously watches TV, then we cannot stop the child from watching TV, right? So you should have boundaries in the house. Like, if you, even if you or your family members are watching, there should be a boundary around it. And for the child, if they are watching it, you need to be very clearly setting up something called as boundaries. Okay, and this boundaries is something very important as we are raising our children, especially during the early years. Don't say no for everything. Okay, when you keep saying no for everything, there is nothing that they will be taking as the important thing. When the child keeps hearing no, 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 no 1,000 times a day, then definitely the child is not going to understand which is more important and which is least important, right? There are two things. One is negotiables, the other one is non-negotiables. So you decide as a parent, what are the things that are negotiables for my child and what are the non-negotiables for my child. So for example, if your child wants to wear only that pink color some dress, so if you are going for a wedding and they don't want to dress up and they want to wear only the t-shirt, now compelling them, saying no and putting them, is that important? Or your child brushing, bathing is important? So whichever is negotiables, be okay with what they do. Okay, and whichever, so when you are be okay with what they do during those negotiables, the non-negotiables like boundary setting in brushing, bathing, screen time, all of these stuff gets better. They will be able to understand this better, because when you're holding a boundary for this one, then you will also be able to stand with it. Otherwise, what happens, you set boundaries but you yourself will not hold it. So when you are coming out of your boundary, your child will not respect any of the boundaries because you yourself did not respect that boundary, right? So choose where you are putting the boundary. So in this case, watching TV, normal time, you just communicate to your child, have a deal, like how many episodes are we going to watch, because children doesn't understand the concept of time, right? When you say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they do not know what is 5 minutes, what is 10 minutes. Instead, you can say one episode, two episode, and after the two episodes, and clearly have a plan. After two episodes, we are going to shut down the TV and we will walk 5 steps. When we are giving them with so much explanation, that works. If you say that switch off your TV after two episodes, they may not do it. Instead, you can frame your conversation like this: once after two episodes is done, you switch off the TV. We will then walk 5 steps and we will do two jumps. Then we will go out and play. Something like this, some sensory thing is there. And you keep repeating it this multiple times throughout. And you can also ask them, how many episodes? Two episodes. Even if your child is not responding, do it all yourself. It is a practice that you are giving, right? So you say, how many episodes? Two episodes. What do we do after the two episodes? The child may say, go out and play. No, no, no. We are walking 5 steps. Then what do we do after 5 steps? Jumping. How many times do we jump? Two times. What do we do after two jumps? Go. So this way, you are actually training their brain to follow the step-by-step instructions and be consistent with that boundary. Every time remind them. We may be feeling like yesterday only I told you, no. But the reality is the child really forgets. We may be thinking he already knows. Simply he's acting like he doesn't know. But the thing is that really the child's brain doesn't remember it. Okay? Let's be patient with them and keep telling them. Right? Lovely. How to prevent child from watching phone while eating. So if your child has been having that as a pattern where they have always eaten with phones, that is a pattern that was created by you. Now it's time for you to slowly take it away. How many meals or how many snacks or how many times in the day that the child sees the phone while eating, start to cut it down one step at a time. First thing, if your child is watching Cocomelon or something like that, very fast paced visuals, if they are using while while eating, when they are watching this, switch them to a low paced ones. Okay, low paced visuals, preferably in black and white. If you are putting black and white and very slow paced videos and all, the child themselves doesn't like it. Okay, so you slowly remove it and then you can introduce some other distraction, like having a book in place or having a building block in place. So this distraction is better than that distraction. Even though distraction free eating is the ultimate thing, if your child has been always distracted while eating, replace it with something like that. First you replace with slow paced visual shows, and then you replace with black and white, or very much sound and all is gone, only the or video is there, something like that. And then you switch to building blocks or books, etc. And also all of these things for one meal time, and then slowly you do it for all the meal times. Same answer question for Divya, also same answer from me. How to control the child from being stubborn? So stubbornness is something that we label because we understand that as stubbornness. But the thing is that the children's normal brain development shows that emotional heightened, because they are feeling these emotions, right? We are all humans, we are all not robots or machines, and the only thing that differentiate us from machines or robots is that we have emotions. We have sadness, anger, frustration, disappointment, happiness, all these emotions. So first of all, we have to accept the fact that all of us are humans, and all the feelings that we are going through is okay. All feelings are okay. This is something that we have to rewire in our own subconscious mind. Why? Because it is coming from our own experiences. We have been hearing this over and over: don't cry, don't be angry, don't be shy, don't be sad, right? So we believe that don't all of these things are wrong. We try to suppress it. That is why we don't want our children also to behave the same way. But when you start to accept that our child is a human, and for any human having these feelings is okay. Now, what do you do with that feelings? That is where you need to bring in the attention. If your child is angry, that is okay. But if your child is hitting because they are angry, that is not okay. So this is what you need to remember. All feelings are okay, but not all behaviors. Right? So that is where the coping strategies come into picture. If I'm angry, you feeling angry is absolutely okay. But we don't hit others because we are angry. Maybe you can hit this pillow as much as you want to release your anger. Let's hit the pillow. Come on, let's do it. Right? Now your anger is being released safely. At the same time, you're not hurting someone. And you feeling sad is okay. You feeling disappointed is okay. So start to say to yourself, for yourself also, whenever you're feeling angry, I am feeling angry is okay, acceptable. But I am yelling at my child because I'm angry is not acceptable. Now, how do I release my anger and manage my emotion better so that I can respond to my child and don't react? Right? So it also starts from within. When you start to work on yourself on these things, you automatically have no other chance than your child taking this and doing it. Clear? Right. Next one. My son is 6 years old. How to make potty training? Okay. So for potty training, whatever the child's age is, some things you can try when you are starting early. It is different when you are introducing something, right? So for a 6 year old, there could be certain things that you have already been introducing them whenever they want to go to poop or pee, right? So if they are using just the pampers or something like that, for a 6 year old, I am very sure, talk to them about how we don't use the pampers or the diapers all the time. How do we actually go to the restrooms and use it? For a 6 year old, if you have before, if you have tried it and if it was successful, or some reason why the child doesn't want to go, etc., talk to them and check what is that is the issue that they are feeling. Why do they don't want to use the restroom? Why do they prefer not to use the restroom? I'm sure the 6 year old, 5 year old can really say their reasons better. I'll tell you a simple example from my own experience. I hope that may give you some insights for whatever age children have. So my daughter, I was able to toilet learn her for poop at 7 months old. And how did that happen is when I felt that the child is now pooping and peeing wherever they are because they do not know where to do it. So I started to say that I showed that potty, small potty, and I was showing that this is where you will poop. Whenever you want to poop, say and I'll take you in this. When I was doing this with my 6 month old, when she just started solids and all, my mom used to laugh at me. How a 7 month old, 6 month old will be able to understand this? But I used to keep on saying, but she will just go there only. But whenever I'm cleaning, I'll just tell her, whenever next time you want to go, this is that you where you have to go. Just tell me and I will tell you. So one day when she was around 7 months old, she was just crawling. She was saying somewhere, but we did not understood. We were just thinking she was just babbling, and then she was trying to crawl and scoot near the potty, and then she said then I was not able to believe it, first of all. But still I felt like, okay, let me put her into the potty and see. So we took her in the potty and we just made her sit there, and we saw that she was able to poop there. From then onwards, it's always that. But at the same time, when she even after 11 months is when we started to take her to the for urination also to the toilet. And she was okay in the beginning, and then she did not wanted to go. Then she was around 1.5 years by that time. So I was actually asking her, like, what is that you don't want? Why do you don't want to go? So she couldn't express it. She didn't have the words. So I was asking, like, multiple options I was giving. Did you not like the closed environment? Did you not like the wet floor? Did you not like the smell? So for certain things, she said yes. And we actually changed that. We put a, whenever she wants to go, I'll put a room freshener in the restroom so it smells good. And every time we wipe and make it dry all the time so she can love to go. So similarly, figure out, like, why do your child doesn't like to go to the toilet, and fix that space if possible. And you can also read them books on potty, so that they see how the books will be easier for you to share. Even if you don't have the words or communication to it, to the child to explain, the books will help you to share with them why they have to use the potty, right? So you can use that one. Which one? I mean, he's going to speech therapy. Since 3 years and occupation is 1 year, how to make potty training? Okay. Yes, these things will work, dear. Okay. How to rule out child's interest like dislikes and likes with my 7 year, and how to implement few practices like time management. So for a 7 year old, you can have a lot of conversation with the child. What is his likes? So when you know his likes, you will also get to see whichever is not that he is not interested in, whichever he's interested in, you can give him more opportunities for that. Okay, sorry if it is a he or she, but yeah, you can talk to the child and to figure out what are their likes and give more exposure to that one. For time management, you can have a sand clock or a timer that goes on, Alexa timer or phone timer or something like that. And for time management in terms of the routines, right, so like bedtime, getting ready for school and all of those stuff, then you can have like say that in the next 10 minutes we will put a countdown, and then from then onwards you can do like countdown. Helps a lot in this years, 6 years, 5 years, 7 years. Countdowns helps a lot. You can say like in on the count of 10 can you do it, or on the count of 20 can you do it. You give them option, let them choose. Mostly they will choose like on the count of 20. Okay, your time starts now, let's see who is doing it faster. Make it fun, make it interesting likewise. Yeah. My child often tries to avoid studying by saying he's hungry, sleepy, or needs to go to the washroom, and sometimes even lies to get out of doing his work. How can I understand the reason behind these behaviors, and what steps can I take? 5 years. So one thing is that if your child is saying that he's hungry, sleepy, or needs to go to washroom just to escape the study time, etc., see whether it is something that he really wants to go, instead of assuming. Sometimes we get to assume a lot that they simply only are saying no likewise. But the other one is that they may be not interested in that particular work, in how it needs to be done, especially with writing homeworks, right? When the child needs to write something, and if the child doesn't like to write, then maybe the child will want to always escape it. One advice for a 5 year old, this may not work for a 3 year old or a 2 year old, but for a 5 year old, is to explain the consequence of not doing it and let them experience the consequence. Okay, if you do not do the homework, then you have to go and answer the ma'am. I will not answer the ma'am on your behalf. So, better you can take responsibility and do it today. If you want, I can help you. Otherwise, you go and face the consequence. Now, the child has two options. Either they have to do the homework, or they can go and talk to their ma'am why they didn't do it, right? So now when they actually go and experience the consequence once, then they know that I need to do, they take up that responsibility for themselves. And I really feel that taking responsibility from a very early years is also something that is required. And one other way is that to create the interest in that particular learning work, homework, or whatever. How can you make it more interesting for the child? Like, just like how I mentioned countdown, you can say like, let's see if you can complete this one small thing. So if they want to just do a matching activity, the first matching, I'll see whether you are able to do on count of 5. Let's start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, you didn't do it yet. Okay, let me try again. Now this time I'll give you 10 counts. Then let's see, Amma is going to see whether you are going to finish it. And then you also act like you are closing your eyes. I think you're going to finish it. 1, 2, 3. I sense you have already finished it. Likewise, you just bring more fun in it, so that the child may try to complete it without being fuzzy. My daughter is 3.5 years old and very hyperactive. I get tired and give her gadgets to make her sit in one place for some time. What can I do to change this? So, Kritika, you know what? It is actually the vice versa. Because you're giving the gadgets, that is why the child is behaving hyperactive. And it's nothing to tell you that you are doing it wrong. That is how the screen, the shows are being designed. Okay, the shows that we felt that it is educational are actually not educational. See, they are all business, right? The more number of views that you get your business becomes very popular. So they are literally taking they literally do a research on how, what actually makes the child to sit and stare at them continuously without blinking. They do the research and create their programs accordingly. That's why if you see the videos, there is a huge sound stimulation stimulation and visual stimulation keeps on changing every second, so that the child cannot even blink, right? So what happens after you shut down the screen? The normal environment, if I just now I'm keep talking, right? Let me be silent for 10 seconds. Now, how did you girls feel? Now we have already passed 1 hour, but it just went like this when I was talking. But this 10 seconds felt like, is it? I don't even know if I had been silent for 10 seconds, because my own brain cannot stop myself to stay still for 10 seconds. The environment is very, very like this. It's still, it is not moving faster. That's where what happens when the child is keep on watching screen time. The child's brain is being the neural network connection is being built for such high stimulation things, and if that is not there, the brain craves for it. There is something called as dopamine in the brain that gets released when the child is watching fast paced stimulation activities. It's something related, something like drugs. No, people who use drugs, if they don't have the drugs, what happens? Their behavior, they just go out of their mind, right? Similar effect is what these uh, TV shows are creating for the child. So I would suggest you, please stop giving them the screen time. Okay, initially it is going to be very difficult, because the child is, when they have been so much into screens, then definitely they'll be having a lot of tantrums and all that. So prepare yourself to spend some time with them, take them out in the park, try to remove the screens from your child. If you need our help, we can also help you from Holistic Parenting Universe, and with the right tools that can help her. But generally, remove the screen time, and you see yourself that the behavior of the child is getting fixed automatically. Okay, we have been seeing this over and over, when even the small screen time is actually creating a lot of craving for the child's brain, and they are behaving hyperactive and all that thing. So don't label your child as hyperactive. They are perfectly normal. Just remove the screens and give them engaging activities, sensory activities that they would definitely love at this age. And this is the age we can reverse this. As the child grows up, 7 years, 8 years, become a teenagers, lot of issues will come up. Okay, I've been seeing a lot of parents with children 8 years, 9 years coming and saying that the child is not learning, ma'am. They're having not able to read also, ma'am. While the other hand, when we are intentional, when we know, in HPU, we have a Holistic Parenting Universe, we have over 10,000 parents in it, and all of them are raising their children screen free, including me. Okay, we are raising our children screen free because there is no need for screen itself. And it doesn't mean we are spending 24 hours with the child engaging and entertaining them. No, it's not like that. So it is also possible. So just give it a chance. How to go through the child's mind and understanding their likes and dislikes to make him a good personality depends on the child's age. If your child is above 4 years and all, they can themselves be expressive. Before that, it's all about you giving the exposure. Whatever exposure that you are giving, that is where the child is going to grow up with, right? So you see what are the values that you want to install in your child and start giving them exposure to it. If you're giving more screen time, the child is going to pick up that. If you're giving introducing them to books, they are going to pick up that. If you're giving them drawing, art, worksheets or whatever, that is what they are going to do. So it's about you becoming clear on what are the things that I can expose them to. My 3-year-old son doesn't understand our commands. He understands only few routines. That is very perfectly normal for a child to follow instructions. It needs the consistent practice, and it's absolutely okay if your child doesn't understand your commands. Sometimes it is really that they don't understand. You try to say it in a different way, in the way how the child can understand. See, observe what is that your child understand, and give them that. And also for a 3-year-old, forming a routine may be something very difficult, especially in the beginning. So have them same predictability when you can give. That way they will be able to follow the routine. And even if one day if the routine gets changed, their days will be collapsed, because the child's sensitivity to order is very peak at this ages, from 0 to 4, 5, 6 years. Also the sensitivity to order is very high. That's why your child, you might have seen this, when every day they eat in a pink color plate, suddenly the pink plate is not there, blue plate is there, they start to throw tantrum out of it. I want only the pink plate, I want only the red bottle. We think that the child is stubborn, we think the child doesn't want to use the other one, not adaptable and all those things. It is because the child's sensitivity sensitivity to order is at peak. They expect a predictability. If something is moved out of their predictable rhythm, then their brain cannot just adapt immediately. You see that they are becoming so restless. Something is removed, they feel not safe, right? So having a consistent rhythm is going to help. Routine in as such, like, 6 o'clock you do this, 7 o'clock you do this, that will not work for small children. Sleeping early, she takes long times to sleep. So it actually starts with the child's bedtime routine. Okay, people used to have this unrealistic expectation that the moment I bring my child to bedroom, they have to sleep. But it doesn't work that way. The entire day, the child has been spending so much of time playing and doing a lot of things. So we need to work on the winding down routine. Have a consistent winding down routine. For example, if you want your child to sleep by 8 o'clock, at least half an hour before, bring them to the bedroom, read one book, or talk to the child and give them choices, give them the power on choosing what they want to do. So you can say, like, how many books you want to read, two or three. Give them choices and let them select two books or three books. Okay, we will read three books and then we will sing one song and we will sleep. Okay, consistently every day, let the child choose three books and you read it to them, and then one song and then sleep. Likewise, you start to have a consistent winding down rhythm, so that they get to into that routine. Okay. Okay, so any other questions? I have one more in the how to the stubbornness I've already answered. Fine. So I'm going to quickly give you all a Google form to fill. So once you fill this Google form, I can send you a coping strategies ebook, and also it has some affirmations in it. And yeah, so fill this form. I will also share it with the ma'am, so she can also share with all of you. And yeah, so yes, dear, you want to share something? You can unmute and yeah.
Uh, Thank you so much, Nalli ma'am, for taking your time for 1 hour and giving your insights and your no your experience matters a lot for the young parents, especially know how to handle so many situations. We have a baggage in our
Yeah.
previous
Yes.
early ages, and we will try to put up. We would like to literally apply the same no strategy to our children, so it won't work out for the no Gen Z kids. So we have to be understand how the parenting, how beautiful the parenting hood also, and as well as how to deal with our the Gen Z kids also. So both time we are in a place like where we have to learn there, and we have to again learn for this generation to raise the no Gen Z kids also. So we are in that place. So for taking the time, and for all the ladies here who presented here, thank you so much for trusting me. No, that Lalli, no, you will get a proper guidance from Nalli ma'am, because I know what she is. I've been follower of her Instagram page for so many years. So I was like waiting for her, no, for the time to come, but eventually, like, it happened in such in a beautiful way. And first of all, thanks to parents also, and thanks to Nalini. Seriously, you are an amazing person, which I have seen the influences, whichever which I have already said you. I have met so many influences. Everybody only works for the money. Everybody not even respond to that questions what I have posted. So you are the only one person in that so many things, like a star. So you got I got you. So thank you so much, irrespective of expecting something else from the group, but still, like, you came up and addressed my parents. So it been always, I always grateful to you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much. And I always believe that, together we can, it takes a village to raise the child. And especially for the millennial parents here, we are struggling so much because whatever that we were grown up with is not going to work with our children. If we want to create a beautiful relationship with our children while they grow up. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to meet with these people. And I'm sure that still a lot of questions are there. There will be a lot of struggles that we all will be facing in parenting, because children doesn't comes with a user manual. And we all choosing to, take that moment and commitment to work with our children, to help our children, that itself is a big thing. I'm so proud that all of these parents have that idea, and I'm sure that all of you will be still having a lot of questions. Just fill out this form, and we will help you in whatever way we can help you, because parenting is something that definitely needs the right tools for the parents. Even if we are going as working as a engineer, software engineer, we are getting trained in that program. But for this one, for creating a human being, for raising them, nobody is getting trained. So yeah, so however we can help you, definitely Holistic Parenting Universe is there to help you out. And also, I'm so grateful that you are able to do it. And two more questions were there. Don't worry. Just fill in this Google form, and we will be connecting with you through email and WhatsApp, so we can see how we can also help you. Thank you so much, dears. Thank you so much.
You so much. Thank you so much, Nalini. And parents, like, please follow her Instagram page. She will definitely get so many ideas. Like, now the Brainathon challenge is going on, so please try that also. So definitely it will help you a lot. At those times, like, we don't have. Thanks, Nalini, is sharing for the Instagram account also. Parents, you can check her Instagram page. There is an holistic parental universe is there. Now the Brainathon challenge is going on. A 21 day program is going on. Already
Thank
followed.
you
Super.
for already following me. I will share the form with you, dear. So I can invite these parents to come to my webinar also, so they can understand like what is the 0 to 6 years brain potential is. Now you are seeing all the problems, right? But when we understand the root cause and how we can help our children to grow as a beautiful human being, then my webinar can help. So you can come and attend that also. It's a free webinar, so I can let ma'am to share you all the link if you are interested. Next week Tuesday we are having a webinar, 30th of September. I would love to have you all on the webinar, so that you can get some beautiful insights about your child. When you clearly see what is possible in your child, you will definitely be able to guide them accordingly.
Hope many parents will join. Definitely. That's for sure.
Thank you, dear Vishnu, for taking this step and for connecting these amazing mothers and children in together. So it's a beautiful thing. Continue doing all the good things that you're already doing. Every parent here, even if you're shouting at your child, even if something is not working out, it's all because of the lack of tools and lack of understanding. But you are already doing your best to your child. Just believe in them, just believe in yourself, and miracles do happen, right? Thank you, dears. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, parents. Thank
Do
you
you
so much.
want this recording, dear Vishnu?
Yes. I'm
Okay.
about to ask.
Sure. I will share the recording. Probably I will be uploading it in my platform. So your parents can log into my platform and they can watch this. They will have access to it. Fantastic. Thank you everyone for connecting. Have a great week ahead. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you, parents.